Oh, why you no game?
Arthur and Maximo, Ghouls, Ghost, and Glory.
Hello, all you lovely people out there. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and welcome to the very first installment of Why You Know Game. And I know that that introduction probably caught everyone off guard because you were expecting the Wii U game, the game ideas that work on Wii U, and it's Saturday, and that was exactly what you're expecting. And I threw this wrench right at you. Um, so the title of this episode is Arthur and Maximo, Ghouls, Ghost, and Glory. Now, I'm a longtime fan of the Ghouls and Ghosts series, and Maximo was sort of like a spin-off of that series. And I've always been interested in wondering in why they never like merged the two together and had Arthur and Maximo meet up. I mean, I can understand that it's different timelines maybe and all that stuff. I could get that. I could completely understand that, and I get that they might need to write some sort of weird time traveling situation in order for the two of them to meet. I understand that wholly and completely. I just want to see it happen. And unfortunately, Capcom is sitting on this IP and doing nothing with it. Had to get that out. Sorry. But seriously, on a serious note, I would really love to see an Arthur and Maximo game. And there's two very easy ways they can do this. One is to take the setup of Mega Man X4 or Mega Man in base, or hell, even X5 or X6 for that fact of the matter, is their basis for this. Um, just thinking about it, Arthur is a long range character. He takes his javelin and he throws it and the knives, everything. He's a distance character. So he would play like the Mega Man of this game. He'd be able to throw weapons forwards, upwards, give him diagonal as well. I mean, might as well. Give him his double jump that he's had from Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and give him not all four directions, not all eight directions, four directions, up, down, left, and right. He can throw that way, like he did in Ghouls and Ghosts and just. I don't think he threw anything down. Now that I think about it, it's been a while since I played that game. It's been so long since I played that game. But I know on Super Ghouls and Ghosts, he could double jump. Give him his double jump ability and give him his ability for four-way directional throwing. If we're doing this game in a 2D and as a 2D platformer, I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't explain that. There's a 2D method and a 3D method. I'm explaining the 2D method. Give Maximo up close attacks, but allow him to actually use his shield to defend. So just say if he's not swinging, he automatically blocks things that are thrown at him. Well, not necessarily physical attacks, because you have to give him that weakness. He has to be able to take damage some way. But if he's not using if he's not like, I'm explaining this so screwed up. Let's take this back for a second. Arthur is a long range character. He has no immediate defense because he is maneuverable. He is more maneuverable than a character like Maximo. Arthur can double jump. He can throw in four different directions. He gets hit, he loses his armor. Obviously. Maximo would be the same way in this setup. But since Arthur can maneuver a bit more than Maximo, he doesn't have the shield and he can't defend himself physically. But he has the advantage of being at a distance when he attacks his enemies, so he doesn't necessarily need the shield. Now, Maximo, on the other hand, has to get up close and personal. That's the type of character he is, which is why he has the shield to be able to block projectiles. He can acquire different weapons to use, and things that Arthur would get and throw, he would use them close range. I didn't explain it perfectly, so I had to go back and do that. Maximo would be close range. I would still give him the double jump, but make his second jump like half of what the original jump was, so that you don't give him as much distance and maneuverability as like Arthur has. When you jump a specific direction, you are going that way unless you double jump the opposite direction. So, and plus cutting the height of Maximo's second jump would allow for different terrain for Arthur to be able to travel and different terrain for Maximo to be able to travel. And just putting it in that perspective, there will be objects that Arthur just can't break. Just say he's not physically strong enough to walk up to them and break them. Maximo is. So we have a Sonic and Knuckles kind of dynamic going with the two of them. And this, again, keeps Arthur off of Maximo's paths, and the jump problem would keep Maximo off of Arthur's paths. So you'd have replayability with this game and having the two separate routes that you could go. Uh, I haven't really thought about a story for a 2D setup, but I would possibly as a 2D platform player, I would give this online play, and I probably wouldn't give it local co-op, because you'd have to split the screen in order for Arthur and Maximo to be able to traverse the stages. Um, no. I take that back. What could be done is to make a separate multiplayer game mode for co-op, in which you both characters have to do their part for them to succeed and actually finish the level. That makes more sense than to just throw them on the levels as they are, and then, well, one goes this way and one goes the other way. Yeah, you're both screwed if one of those players sucks. But but if you have to work together, then the better player can help the player who isn't so great. At least for the 2D perspective, as far as I'm concerned. There could also be like a one-on-one versus match with one person, where each person can pick which character they want to play with, and you can fight it out in like this little arena type thing. But I don't know how good that would be necessarily for this game, unless there were just going to be other characters to be playable in like the versus mode, and then you could expand it up to like 4 to 8 people. But I'd have to take time to think about the other characters outside of Death, maybe, and Asheroth. I think that's what his name is. But I'm getting way away from where I was trying to go. The next thing I thought about was actually a 3D game made in the style of Maximo Goes to Glory and Maximo the Army of... Dang it, I forgot the title. but the second Maximo game, the first two games had a similar play style. In this game, Arthur would still be the long range thrower, and you'd be able to use him sort of like his weapons, all of his weapons, because he'd be using them. They'd be magical. He would definitely be the distance man, and again, Maximo's the up close guy. But this time, Arthur can have a shield, because you'd have the shield as a way to deflect attacks, and both characters would have the shield. But Arthur has the advantage of being able to throw at the distance. Like I said before, he might be a slight bit faster than Maximo, so he can maneuver a bit better. But again, I'd say Maximo's still probably the physically stronger of the two. And this again would allow them to have different paths, because for speed purposes, there would be places that Maximo could not reach because he's just not fast enough to reach it. Like, say there's a long gap that Arthur has jumped. And again, both of them would have like a double jump. But like, this gap is long enough, and it's just long enough for Arthur to make the jump, but it's too long for Maximo to make the jump because he doesn't have the... Put it this way, I give Arthur a sprint. Like a sprint move where he could just take off really quickly with some speed and clear a long jump. Maximo would not have said sprint. Because he would be the stronger of the two, though, he could break down walls and barriers that Arthur can't get into, so that he just could not get to those things. Yeah, I'm not explaining this very well. I know. Arthur would be able to aim and throw his weapons long distance. Maximo would actually be able to aim and throw his shield, but it would, again, be a limited distance thing, and you could only do it, say, like half the screen distance to an enemy and back to Maximo, and it will come back to him. And if he does throw his shield, it leaves him vulnerable to attack. I mean, these are things that I was thinking about for a long time. Like, if they did an Arthur and Maximo game, this is probably the best way to do it. And then I thought about it in 2D, and then I thought about it in 3D. And I'm like, why can't they? I'm like, Capcom, y'all could do both of these. You could really do both of these. if you guys would stop piddling around and start using your IPs and actually and training people to make these games the right way. But it's just not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. That's what pisses me off. But I would love to see like any sort of Arthur and Maximo game. Like that's an in company crossover that should happen with Capcom. And I'm like, why aren't you guys doing this? Like this should be done. Like there's no reason this shouldn't be done. Like it's too damn brilliant an idea to just let it sit. And I guess Capcom is just too damn stupid to to utilize the idea. But I mean, that's just my gripe. Man, I'd hope that they turn themselves around and start doing better as a company, and then maybe things like this can happen. But for now, I'm just kind of worried that it won't ever happen, and then these IPs will be lost because the company will go under, and then whoever acquires it won't use it properly. So, I think I'm done. I hope you guys weren't too offended by by the way it starts, because that's going to be on every video. That's going to be on every video for this video series. And game ideas that will work on the Wii U will now be relegated to Wednesdays, so that will be once a week, and I'm almost to 100 videos with that series, so why not start a new series up? Something else that I can put my time and energy into, and this doesn't necessarily have to deal with Nintendo. So thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more of my stuff, and until the next time, please enjoy your games. And again, I hope you enjoyed this and more things that have to come, because this series isn't necessarily about games, but more or less things that would work with games. Or, well, it's still about games. I don't know what I'm talking about. Bye.